guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal, they're talking about movies, and you know they are really groovy. Two guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal, they're talking about movies, and we know they are really groovy.
I'm definitely feeling groovy tonight because one of the best actors and most beloved actors of any generation will be highlighted tonight by our guys. We're talking about Morgan Freeman. He's 87 years old, and yet he still continues to be relevant and entertain audiences all over the world. He's known for severe gravitas, a fantastic voice, which I'm sure the guys are going to be mimicking today, and it's going to sound a little like the Pepperidge Farm guy. But anyways, so we're going to have fun with that. But the Encyclopedia Britannica also makes note of his subtle wit and subtle humor, which I think is a really great way of saying it. He's definitely a dynamic force. He's won every Entertainers Award in the book. So he is cherished and loved, and we're going to rank and discuss our favorite Morgan Freeman movies tonight. So, Manny Zamora, weigh in. Rory Penland has his, yes, he does. He has his popcorn, or else it's not a show.
That's right.
And here we go. Morgan Freeman. I mean, it's as good as it gets, right? Well, that's Jack Nicholson. Sorry, as good as it gets. Sorry.
Morgan Freeman in that? He was in Bucket List.
There you go. There you go. This was on my bucket list to do a Morgan show. So there you go.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, Morgan Freeman, or as I like to call him, the man with the golden voice.
Absolutely.
Because it's so mellifluous. You want this man to narrate your life. Even if you wind up in prison, you want him. I was not impressed the first time I met him.
Well, this sounds exactly like him. Oh my gosh, I thought it was a soundbite. Wow. Who knew that, man? You could do Morgan Freeman so accurately. Great job.
I have my moments.
He's stealing your job, Rory. I'm saying.
No.
I'm not going to do it. I can't compete with that.
You can't compete with that one. No.
I know Rory Penland. Every now and again.
You do have your
one I was going to use anyway. So.
So there you go. Yeah, Morgan Freeman. I've been wanting to do a show on him for a while, and I thought, now's the time. Let's do it. We've already lost a legend in the movie industry with Donald Sutherland, with the passing of Donald Sutherland. So we need to put a big roll of bubble wrap around Morgan Freeman right now.
Yes, stay with us another. I'm saying after 20 years, then he might let up. 20 years. Another 20 years.
But not only a great voice, a unique voice, just an interesting person altogether. And he's one of these actors that no matter what project he's in, no matter what he's in, he elevates the material.
Yeah.
He can be, and he has been, in some really just bad, silly, just action, or movies that any lesser actor the movie would be completely forgettable. But with the presence of Morgan Freeman, somehow he elevates.
He could have brought Spookies to the next level. I do feel
if Morgan Freeman had played the old wizard.
Rory does not agree. Rory does not.
Like nothing could elevate that movie.
He was judging it. No.
So anyway, yeah. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get into our list. Okay, so Rory, it is your turn to go first. So what's your number one?
The last two shows I went first. The last two.
I went first last time because you
love
pointed
it.
out.
Argue. I love it. It's so cute. Keep doing it.
If you want me to go first, I'll go first. I have no problem with that.
I think our number ones are going to be the same thing anyway. And that's Shawshank.
Well, you would be right. Yes, Shawshank Redemption.
That's his best role.
It is. course, Tim Robbins is no slouch either. I think the two of them performed really, really. There was some chemistry there. The way they played off each other.
I'm not a huge Tim Robbins fan, but I did like him in this.
Yeah. I think it was a very subtle performance. You never really knew what was going on in his head, which was part of the character and part of the reason we get that surprise at the end when we find out what he what he was up to, why he wanted the little hammer and the posters and all that stuff. But also some of the supporting cast was excellent as well. Clancy Brown, who's one of my favorite actors. He plays great heroes. He plays great villains. Highlander
Ginty?
Fans, huh? I'm sorry.
Bob Ginty?
Bob Ginty as the Bible
warden?
puppy, as the warden. Another great performance.
Sadler?
Will Sadler again, yeah. And the late great James Whitmore. This is one of his also cult actor from the classic era. Monster movie fans probably remember him from Them as the New Mexico sergeant, police officer. Just a great cast all the way around. And,
He wasn't Mexican, but he worked in Mexico.
No, I said it was a New Mexico highway patrolman. But anyway, but Morgan Freeman is the glue that held this movie together.
Agreed.
His performance and that great scene, or well, a lot of great scenes, but once he's released and he's back in the world and him trying to acclimate to the freedom that he has regained, still some of the habits, he almost went the same way that James Whitmore's character did. Unfortunately, he unalived himself because he just couldn't handle life on the outside, and Freeman was kind of feeling the same way until he gets the mystery note from Tim Robbins' character. But anyway, just a great movie all the way around. One of Frank Daramont's best movies. Renee, you want to weigh in on this?
Ironically, Freeman did not like Daramont's direction style, which was to do. He did a lot of excessive takes, did a lot of takes, and that actually kind of pissed off Morgan Freeman, which explains why he wasn't in The Green Mile or The Mist or some of the other Darabont movies based on Stephen King's work.
No,
probably.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
I wonder how people piss off Morgan Freeman. I want to see Morgan Freeman not get yelling, but I want to see him quietly disappointed. I'm just disappointed at you, and I want to see that face. It would be funny, or to watch him get petty. I would love to see him do something really petty, in a traffic accident or something.
I've seen, it's funny you say that because I've seen some interviews with him where he's obviously annoyed with the host
really
when he's asked some questions.
Does he do the Rory face where he's quietly judging you?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I love that. I love that face. I live for that. I just think
he gives this look like, did you really just ask me that?
Did you really
just say that?
But he doesn't. No, I can't imagine him getting. I mean, I know in some of his performances he's done that, but
right.
In real life, he seems like a very even keeled type of person.
Yeah.
It's kind of
that's his brand. Yeah,
that's his brand. So
that's his brand. That's why it'd be funny to see him go against that. But anyway, you know how they came up with this study saying that most men are thinking about ancient Rome every single day. And then there's another study where you guys haven't heard that? Yeah, that most men think about ancient Rome at least once a day. And then most Americans think about Lincoln at least once a day. I feel like most Americans probably think of Shawshank once a day. I'm always kind of thinking about Shawshank. People are always referencing it in the culture. It's just at the forefront of the culture. There are so many scenes and quips that have been assimilated into our daily life. It's that famous. Like there was a time in was it the 90s or something where they were playing it on cable all the time. Like you turn on
Oh yeah,
it just always kind of in the zeitgeist, always in the ether. You were just always there. So I feel like it's one of these binding movies where nowadays movies come out and people are all watching different things. There's so much content, but I feel like this was one of the last binding movies where so many people watched it. It's kind of we can have a conversation and everybody kind of knows what you mean.
Yeah,
it connects.
I saw it.
Okay. Yeah, it connects to everything because they explore everything in the human experience in one movie.
Yeah, I remember seeing it at the theater. I thought, oh, this, and I've always been a Morgan Freeman fan, from early on. And I thought, well, this looks interesting. And it's based on a Stephen King short story or novella or something.
Yes. Yeah, Rita Hayworth in The Shawshank Redemption.
Right.
From 4 Seasons.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Which is a great little story. And so they turned it into a movie. And then, of course, like Renee said, I mean, it was like on HBO, like it's almost 24/7, at least once a month. And then of course onto other services. But yeah, it is just a classic American movie, and a really good adaptation of a Stephen King novel that isn't based on horror. So, all right. So what was your number 2?
Gets to do Stephen King on a regular basis.
Yeah, because then he does Green Mile and
all right, let's see if our number 2 is the same.
Let's see. What's
Driving
your number
Miss Daisy?
2? Nope.
Okay.
We have diverted. We have we've gone our separate ways now. But I will tell you, it is on my top 5. So there you go.
I would be surprised if it wasn't. This was based on a stage play where these two actually created the roles on the stage play, and were given the movie roles. Tandy was still hot from Cocoon.
Mm-hmm. As was her husband.
As was her husband, Hume Cronin. And again, Morgan Freeman was becoming quite the force on stage and in film and television. I've been a fan since the Electric Company myself.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that. Yeah,
he played the Count.
Yeah, and a lot of other characters.
Man, that was back in the early '70s too, when Sesame Street was at its peak. Yeah. Zoom was on TV, and for kids, and you had the Electric Company.
Yeah.
And he was part of that. He was, part of that. He hated it. He didn't like it. He said it was the toughest work he ever did. But,
well, I mean,
it was work, and it was steady pay.
Work. Yeah, yeah.
Driving Miss Daisy, a wonderful, wonderful character piece. I wasn't so crazy about Dan Aykroyd in it, but yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with Morgan Freeman and Jessica Tandy in this. So
yeah,
just wonderful performances, and again, their characters go through a lot of changes through the movie, and it's candy to a film watcher who likes good performances.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, good. I'll talk a little bit more about it when I get to that one. Mm-hmm. My number 2 is actually 7. The murder, serial killer, mystery thriller, where he plays a detective. Now, some people would say, well, that's Brad Pitt's movie. And yeah, Brad Pitt is, he's the young buck in that one. But Morgan Freeman, again, it's one of those characters, I mean, this role could have gone to, who's the one in Lethal Weapon?
Glover? Danny Glover?
With Danny Glover, almost. But again, Renee mentioned gravitas. I'm talking about, Morgan Freeman, and that's what he brings to this role. He brings a sense of gravitas, a sense, there's that just this intelligence behind any role that he plays, and in this one, it's especially there. He plays off against Brad Pitt's his more sort of volatile characters, less experienced character. Freeman, he's the old vet. He's ready to retire. He's ready to give it all up. And then there's this horrific case of these serial killer murders using the
seven deadly sins.
Seven deadly sins, and of course the whole, to give away a plot point, maybe the whole Gwyneth Paltrow's head in a box has become a meme. But then there's also the role from Kevin Spacey, who, yeah, we know he's kind of become disgraced lately. He's been canceled for,
which makes him better as the villain in this one.
Some allegations. Yeah. Him showing up towards the end of the movie and executing this just
Brad Pitt
diabolical.
Just come forward. This in the news.
Yeah. But I think this is one
he touched you on the doll.
Yeah, exactly. Show us where did the tarantula touch? But
hey, what's in that box?
What's in the box? What's in the box? Yeah, great performance, I think, from everybody. One of David Fincher's, the directors, I think one of his best movies. And just a really sharp, well-considered thriller. Using the seven, it kind of reminded me in a way of Dr. Phibes, who used the plagues of Egypt,
right,
to commit all his murders. And this was kind of a more, I guess, less whimsical, less, trying to be a little more realistic version of that, with the seven deadly sins and all that. But I don't know. I really like this movie as far as thrillers and serial killer movies are concerned. And Freeman's performance is, again, it's one of those, like I said at the beginning, any other actor, even Danny Glover, who's a good actor in his own right, I don't think it would have made the movie as good as it is. Freeman just elevates everything he's in. So anyway, that's
I feel that it was instrumental in the creation of the Saw film series as well.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
Okay, that's your number 2.
That's my number 2.
My number 3 is Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, that would have been so cool.
That would have been so funny if I had done that at the beginning of the show. I should have thought about that at the beginning of the show. Anyway, no, Street Smart, which was his first Academy Award nomination, and deservedly so. This definitely rates high on the list because of his performance as a very charismatic street pimp who can get real nasty when he wants to be. Much to the chagrin of Chris Reeves. If you haven't seen the movie, it is, and you like Morgan Freeman especially, you got to see this one. That was something else. It almost made the top of my list, but I can't not put Shawshank at the top of the list. And then I said, you know what, Driving Miss Daisy, even though the performance, both of them got him Academy Award nominations. I just liked him as Hulk better, so it kind of nudged that one down to the 3rd spot. He's so despicable. He turns out to be so despicable in Street Smart. Great performance by Christopher Reeves, as the reporter who's trying to, make a name for himself. And is it Kathy Bates that plays the prostitute that he befriends and tries to save from Morgan Freeman. So it's a wonderful movie. It's a depressing movie. It's a wonderful movie, but again, the performance really wonderful. Great. It's great.
It's great. Well,
great. You guess what? We have a live famous caller in who wants to talk about Morgan Freeman. So
okay. Oh, all
I'm just
right.
going to put her on. She called in. She's passionate, I guess. I don't know about Morgan Freeman. So here you go.
All right.
Okay, you can talk.
Well, now, I don't even know how this works. Is it like a ham radio or a CB radio? How are we getting on the air?
I know that voice.
Rory
That's
said
Gladys from the
Is
LA
that
show.
Gladys?
Rory said it's Gladys. It's a little bit like a ham radio, Gladys, but you can talk about Morgan now.
Here's the deal. I'm listening to y'all through the computer with Scotty. And the thing is, now I'm a big Morgan Freeman fan. And I do love Driving Miss Daisy. But there's one scene that really strikes a chord with me.
What's the
And do you want to hear it?
Yes.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
Now, do you remember? Now, Morgan Freeman, who's Driving Miss Daisy, the other fella wanted to steal him away from Dan Aykroyd and Miss Daisy.
Yes.
And so he comes in and he's so humble. He's holding his hat. And you think that he doesn't have any power because he's a black man in the early development of things, and he's not rich. But the reality was he leveraged so beautifully that moment when he said, well, somebody else is offering me this much money. And no, I wouldn't leave him. I won't leave y'all. And he ended up getting it. And when he turned around and said to Dan Aykroyd's character, I don't remember what it was, but he said, did you ever have anybody fight over you? And he said, no. And Morgan Freeman said, it sure feel good. I love that, because in life you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. But what he really did was he slapped him a little on the way out.
Yes.
No, he did. He said, well, you might have money and you might have power, but you ain't got people fighting over you.
Right.
Yeah, it's a great scene.
A really
I thought about it a lot. When I heard y'all talking about it, I just got all kinds of excited, spilled my beer.
Gladys?
Scotty brought me another one.
Gladys, did you like the Shawshank Redemption?
Honey, let me tell you something. We had such a sewer backup here. It was really bad. And Scotty, he gave an estimate of $800. And Scotty went to the rent places. You can rent tools.
Yeah.
And he got a snake. Mm-hmm. And he had to go in that sewer pipe with one of them little squiggle snakes. And I went down there. And Scotty, can you do the impression? Okay, it's not really a good impression. He says it's not a good impression. He's probably going to paraphrase. But I asked him, how did it go? Did you clear it out? And tell him, Scotty. Tell him. Scotty went down there and crawled through a mile of smelly stench and cleared Gladys's tubes. I think you didn't say tube. I think you said you called you that. I don't remember how I said what exactly I said, but it was I think a mile of foul-smelling stench. Freeman isn't that good.
Now that, of course, is her grandson Scott Hardy from Texas.
Right. That's her grandson Scott Hardy, who's a comedian.
But it never works out.
That's a pretty good one.
Give me the phone back, honey. You're not that funny. Hold on, here's Gladys.
He's very funny. He's very funny.
He tries, honey, he tries. He's not like Rory, and he's not like you. And so he rides on my coattails and then says, oh, look at me, everybody. I'm funny because I'm with Gladys.
Well, I would like to ride your coattails too, Gladys. And we appreciate you calling in so much.
It's so awesome that you watch the show.
Yeah.
Love the show. Long time listener, first time caller.
All right. We love you, Gladys. And give Scotty a hug and a kiss for us. All right.
Much love to you and Scotty.
Yeah.
Have a beautiful, safe night. And I hope that sometime in the next week or so, somebody experiences a reach around. Scotty's upset. Okay, honey.
I don't think that means what you think it means, Gladys, but okay. Love you. Bye. Bye-bye. Bye. We just got a celebrity to call
There
in.
you go.
Wow. We got
Show.
Gladys calling in. How awesome
From
is
the
that?
Ellen
I firmly
Show.
believe that celebrities are
Yeah.
going to start watching this show because it's all about
Celebrity.
movies.
We had
It's
our
right.
first celebrity call in, and Morgan Freeman is a big celebrity, so it makes sense that we would have a celebrity call into the show.
Yeah.
I
And
wasn't
she-
very
and
impressed with
she-
Gladys when she came to Shawshank Redemption. She came to Shawshank Prison. I said redemption. Screwed it up.
And I love how she had a really deep analysis of, she really is a good movie watcher. She should probably be a whole guest one time. We should find out what she likes, what her favorite actor is or favorite director. I don't know.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Talk movies with Gladys? Hell, I'm up for it. Yeah.
All
sure.
right.
There you go.
Okay,
Yeah.
excellent. All right. So we can't top that as for entertainment value, but I guess we can go back to the list. But that was pretty stellar. That was pretty
That was cool.
That was great.
Yeah, the
What's
rest of the show,
your-
the rest of the show is just going to be anticlimactic now. After that,
Anti-clitoris now. It's all anti-clitoris after.
all right.
Sorry.
Okay. Reach around. Oh
Anti
my
G
God.
spot.
Anti G spot.
One
It's
day
a
when I was
myth.
taking for my anti G spot,
That's what astronauts experience.
you're number 3.
Is it even worth it? Oh, my number 3 is the bucket list.
Okay.
Now, when I first saw the trailer for this movie, and I thought it was kind of deceptive because it looked just like, it was going to be a feel-good buddy comedy, Jack Nicholson and Morgan Freeman up to hijinks. That's what it made it seem like. So I go see the movie, and it was nothing like that. But it's still a really, really good movie. I wasn't disappointed. It touches on some very serious themes. These two men from very different socioeconomic backgrounds. Nicholson is this very wealthy man who has this medical, empire, and Freeman is just this humble, but incredibly intelligent man who fixes cars for a living. He's a mechanic, which it's a noble profession in and of itself. Nothing wrong with that. But they both wind up being diagnosed with cancer, and so they wind up following this bucket list that Freeman had written up, just as kind of therapy, just kind of a way of keeping his mind off this terrible diagnosis. And Nicholson's character, having all this money, said, let's do it. What are we afraid of? We're gonna die. So
let's go ahead and do it then.
Exactly.
Let's
yeah.
do all of it. Everything on the list.
Right, exactly, just like that. And so they do. They go off on this adventure. They go to all these exotic places. But there's always that awareness. There's always that awareness that
death is always looming. Yeah.
Death is always looming. Yeah. It kind of tricks you a little bit at the beginning and at the end because you hear Freeman's voice. Sand got in my eyes at the end of the movie with the revelation. There was kind of smoky, and so I'm not crying. You are, but it's such a good movie, and I'm glad I watched it. And also, again, some really good supporting cast performances from Sean Hayes, who you might remember from the TV series. My God, why can't I remember it?
I want to say Will and Grace, but I don't.
Will and Grace, yeah, no,
Will
and Grace. It's Will and Grace, yeah. And Beverly Todd as Morgan Freeman's character, his wife, who he also co-starred with in Lean on Me, which we'll talk about later.
Yes, we will.
But yeah, it's a wonderful movie. It's a bit of a downer. I'll say that. But there's some nice, funny. There are some funny moments in the movie. Some very witty, yeah, and directed by Rob Reiner, which
Surprisingly, yeah,
that's why it surprised me that it wasn't haha funny, feel good. I mean, it's a serious movie, but it has some humorous
yes,
moments. The dialogue between Nicholson and Freeman is really what makes this movie, and they have some really interesting banter. Some of it humorous, some of it serious. Um, I don't want to oversell it, but it's definitely worth a watch. So yeah, it. Uh, I
Is Rory
hadn't.
quietly judging? I feel like Rory is quietly judging. I don't
damn
know.
it,
There was a lot of like, there was a
damn
lot
it.
of like,
It's not on my list. I'm sorry, it's
okay.
not on my bucket list. Again, I didn't like the
That's
movie. I
okay.
thought it was too depressing. And again, you keep hoping for the happy ending, and it just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So that's life, and I guess that's what Rob Reiner wanted to do. Again, there's so many other good movies in Morgan Freeman's canon of movies. Yeah, I just had to leave it off the list. It was
Yeah.
on the side list. Oh, should I put it on the list? Should I put it in the honorable mention? Well, there's this one. So I'm not saying it's a bad movie. There are great performances in the movie, and there's a lot of good back and forth, like you said, between Nicholson and Morgan Freeman. But yeah, it just wasn't good enough to make the list for me. Sorry.
Okay. Nah.
Number 4 for me, and this is another depressing one. But it's on
Speaking of
number
which,
4 on my list. It's
okay.
also an Academy Award for him, $1 Million Baby. Clint
Ah,
Eastwood. Clint Eastwood and Hilary
yes.
Swank breaks her neck on the chair. Damn it.
Yeah.
Wants to have my baby, and I'm 90 years old. So it's kind of a ridiculous whole premise, the whole thing, but it's an engaging movie, and again, it's Clint Eastwood directing, some of his best work, and again, Morgan Freeman puts in an Oscar-worthy performance in it.
Mm-hmm.
He plays an old fighter who's now kind of like the Mickey, the trainer,
Yeah.
assistant trainer. And again, it's a lot about his relationship with Eastwood's character,
Mm-hmm.
and his loyalty, and how it gets divided
Mm-hmm.
when Hilary Swank's character comes into play.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an Oscar winner, but it's not a feel good movie. It's not those kind of movie you're going to dance out of, dance away from.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but certainly deserves, based on its performances, deserves a spot on the list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's funny because Million Dollar Baby was actually on my top 5 for a long time. Then I saw Bucket List, and I was like,
Knocked it
and
right off.
knocked it off. And it's one of my honorable mentions now, but
Okay.
no, I have to agree with you. It's a wonderful performance, great performance from Freeman. I mean, all the way around. And Hilary Swank, I think, is so underrated. It's so underutilized. I don't know why she's not in more movies.
Yeah.
She's a very good actress. From the time we saw her in what about was it something about the boys?
Boys Don't Cry.
Boys Don't Cry.
Yeah.
Right up to this movie, even Insomnia. We talked about it when we talked about Al Pacino, and a lot of other movies that she's been in. But yeah, and
I agree with you 100%. She's very underrated in Hollywood. Not sure why. I haven't heard any rumors that she's difficult to work with or that she's a method actor or anything like that. Again, she always turns in Oscar-worthy performances, no matter what she shows up in. And you would think she'd be working, and she's not. And that's just a shame because she's a great performer. I don't know if that's her choice or, again, I haven't read anything to that effect. It's just a mystery to me that she isn't in 10 times the films that she's in.
Exactly. Yeah. So who knows? Who knows? It's one of those
Wonderful performer.
exactly. Yeah. And to be in a movie, I mean, to hold her own against Clint Eastwood and Morgan Freeman. I mean, how how
Yeah.
how do you not cast her in other movies? So anyway,
She was
damn
good.
you, Hollywood. Yeah,
Especially when she broke her neck on that chair. I love that. She did a great job. She got it in one take.
yeah, yeah.
There was
And you know that's one
it
of
was
those
one of the
things.
scary movies where they parodied that and everybody broke their neck on a chair. Chair
Yeah,
for school. It was great. I can't remember what it was, but I was like, oh my God, this is not going to go over well. It's not going to last the test of time. It
yeah.
was extremely funny at the time because that's what everybody was talking about was her and that moment in Million Dollar Baby.
Yeah. And it's another one of those movies. You think it's going to be one thing. You think it's going to be, oh, this is another Rocky, except it's girl. And because that's kind of what it felt like at the beginning. Like, oh, we're going to train her. And she's going to, she's the underdog and she's going to become
Yeah.
this great boxer and blah, blah, blah.
It's gonna
And
be
then she breaks her neck
kid
on
with
a
girl.
yeah. And then she breaks her neck on a stool. And then it becomes something else altogether. So,
Yes.
but anywho, all right. So that was your number 4.
4.
Okay, my number 4 was Driving Miss Daisy,
Yeah.
which we talked about earlier. And again, great performances from Freeman and Jessica Tandy. I gotta say, when I first saw this movie, I I hated her character. I really did at the beginning. I thought,
Supposed to.
yeah, and which I got, yeah.
Uh,
I felt like they could have made her a
she needed a
little
Shawshank
bit
Redemption.
more, yeah. They could have made it not likable, obviously, because that was the point of, she becomes much, but I felt like it made her a little too cold, a little too harsh at the beginning. But that's just me. Actually, I did like Dan Aykroyd's performance. It's one of his few series where he played a serious role. Um, and is it Oscar material? No, but I thought he did a really good job uh, with what he was given. Um, Gladys talked about that scene where Morgan's character Hawk very
Bill
subtly asks
Murray,
for
Dan
more
Aykroyd cannot
money.
do. They try to do drama, and you always see them as Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd, the comedians. I can't get past that.
Well,
I don't
okay.
want him to do drama. I want him to be Weber in the Indiana Jones movie. Isn't that Willie Scott the singer? I want Aykroyd.
Okay, all right. I can't argue with that. But anyway, but I do like the progression. I do like that they weren't heavy-handed with discussing the racism of the period. You get glimpses of it. It's there. Uh, like when the two cops pull him over, or they don't pull him over, but when they stop to question Morgan Freeman's character about, yeah, what you doing with this car, boy? When they're in Alabama,
Mm-hmm.
and then they reference him and her being a Jew, this old Jewish lady, and all that. So there were those moments,
Yes.
um, which I kind of appreciated. I mean, they really could have gone heavy-handed with it, but they didn't. Um, and I do like how they become friends.
Yes.
And there's that great moment when you could tell she's kind of I don't know if it's Alzheimer's or what,
Right.
what's happening with her, but she says, "You're my best friend." I mean, oh, that's the dust.
Springs.
Exactly, that's the dust in your eyes moment.
Yeah.
But
I'm not crying
beautiful,
anymore.
exactly, beautifully played from Jessica Tandy. Um, and of course, when Esther Roll as the housekeeper, when she passes, my
Mm.
God, the way they frame that, where you don't see her, you just see, she's holding like something, I think it's peas or something, and then you see them fall to the ground, and she's gone. So really nice moments like that. I mean, it's
Snap
just
peas.
yeah,
Snap.
just Yeah. So, yeah,
I've done that.
Good movie.
I've pulled snap peas.
Oh yeah, me too.
All right. Before we do start crying,
I know, right?
number 5.
Okay, what's your number 5?
Lean on me. I'll be your friend. Lean on me. Inspired casting.
Mm-hmm.
This is a real story of a real guy. I
Yeah.
can't remember his name. Joe something.
Joe Clark.
Joe Clark. And he actually turned things around for one of the worst schools in the country.
Yeah.
And it's an inspiring movie, and it's an even more inspiring performance by Morgan Freeman. I don't think he got any awards for this, and that's amazing because he should have.
Yeah, you're right. I don't think he did.
This performance, I think, is one of those eat up the scenery. You know, he really, really grabs it by both horns and just takes it. And it's again a very powerful performance. For the life of me, I can't remember who the rest of the cast of the movie is.
Robert Guillaume is in it.
Robert Guillaume, okay.
I mentioned Beverly Todd.
It's been a while since I've seen the movie, but I just remember that it was so intense and it had such an impact on me when I did see it, and I saw it in the movie theater actually.
Yeah.
It's just one of those once in a lifetime performances that he should have gotten more accolades for it. And again, he was perfect.
Yeah. He did win.
He actually hung out with the guy, Joe Clark.
Yeah. There's a picture. If you go to IMDb, there's a picture of them together. Him
to kind of get a feel, what he was, what he was, and how he was,
Yeah. He won the 1989 NAACP Image Awards for Outstanding Lead Actor, and the movie won Outstanding Motion Picture. Yeah, I know. But as far as
nice.
like Oscars and stuff,
but come on.
But yeah. But no Oscars,
no Oscar, no BAFTA, no, none of the big time awards that really you should have. I mean, come on. That was 1989. What was he up against? Batman.
Exactly.
But
there, I think, I kind of think that it might have gotten lost in the shuffle because there were like at least a couple other movies that had similar themes. There's that one with Michelle Pfeiffer. There was one with Edward James Olmos, and again, very similar themes. Crusading, person comes in, cleans up the school, and all that. So it had competition as far as. So I don't know. Maybe, like I said, maybe it kind of like, oh, another one of those movies.
And I've seen those other movies, and you would think that they would pale in comparison. They would be by the wayside next to this one. But anyway,
exactly, yeah. But
like
I said, I think they were just kind of all lumped together as
You haven't seen Lean on Me, yeah. That's one of those Morgan Freeman movies you really should put on your list to watch.
Oh yeah. No, I saw it in the theater as well, and again, Morgan Freeman.
And I'm sure it'd be just as impactful watching it on Netflix as seeing it in a giant theater with an audience.
Oh yeah. Well, of course, the real Joe Clark got a lot of criticism for his sort of tough love, harsh discipline style. He actually got censured and fired and all this other stuff, from other positions as well. But
they did lock kids into school, which was a fire hazard.
It was a fire hazard, and the whole bullhorn thing and the bat and all that, But sometimes you got to knock people on the head to get their attention, But
it's what that school needed at that time.
It's what it's needed, yeah. And I just remember
very clear in the movie, and the audience is on board with him pretty much throughout the whole film.
Yeah. I remember that opening scene where you see this sort of older, sort of the idyllic version where everything was fine and he was a teacher, and then they come back to it and they're blasting, "Welcome to the Jungle" from Guns N' Roses, and I thought, okay, yeah. So All right. Well, that was my number 5 as well. So that's why we're talking about it.
So our first one was the same, and our last one was the same.
Yeah.
All right. So we move on to honorable mentions. We've already talked about Seven. That was high on my honorable mention list.
Yeah.
Unforgiven.
Unforgiven. Yeah.
Another Clint Eastwood.
Yes.
Another Clint Eastwood directed movie. Eastwood received a lot of praise for that film, for his direction especially. And again, Morgan Freeman is a very big part of that. He's part of the ensemble, but he's a very big part of that film. And he definitely deserves a nod for it, I think. As is his character Lucius Fox in the Dark Knight trilogy. He's a smaller character in the film, but he is very important. And again, Morgan Freeman does that. There are no small parts, only small actors. That's a famous saying in any production. And he certainly makes the best of even the smallest characters. And he's very memorable in those films.
Yeah.
Deep Impact, I put that one on the list. This is one of those turkeys you talked about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And again, to try to compare it to Armageddon, because it's basically the same movie, different actors. He plays the president in it, and I just like that. I just like the fact that Morgan Freeman was our president at one time, and it deserves a mention.
Yeah.
And in the same vein, in Bruce Almighty and Evan Almighty, he's God. And frankly, I think he's a better God than George Burns was.
George Burns, yeah. I was going to mention that. Yes, exactly. That's exactly how I felt. I would believe Morgan Freeman as God.
George Burns' God was George Burns.
Exactly.
Morgan Freeman was very, very dignified. He's what you think God would be. Very cool, very dignified. A little playful at times.
Yeah, it's that twinkle in his eye. Yeah.
But he said Jim Carrey and I always forget his name. Steve Carell.
Yeah.
Right in those movies, and again, definitely worth a nod. And those are my honorable mentions.
Well, that pretty much covers mine. I was going to say, to me, because they're both directed by Clint Eastwood, Unforgiven and $1 Million Baby, I just kind of put them together. And the Dark Knight trilogy, the whole trilogy, Christopher Nolan. I also had.
Again, I thought I was going to catch some flack for that, but I'm glad you put it on your list too.
Yeah. Oh no. I mean, again, like we already talked about, even though it is a minor character, a supporting character, his performance as Lucius Fox just, again, gravitas. He just brings something to that role.
Harley Quinn was created on Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah.
And as a result, Morgan Freeman is the only actor, I think, to play Lucius. Oh, no, I'm wrong. There was a guy on Gotham, the TV show Gotham.
Yeah. But I think, but Morgan Freeman played him first.
But Morgan Freeman did it first, yeah.
Yeah. Just like Margot Robbie is Harley Quinn. Sorry, Lady Gaga. Margot Robbie is Harley Quinn.
For now.
in the movies. For now.
She's actually not the first one to do it, though, because in Birds of Prey, Mia Sara played a version of Harley Quinn.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It wasn't the crazy, Arlene Sorkin version, but
but
and again, I'm very interested to see what Lady Gaga's going to do with it, because she always surprises you. She always surprises you. She's definitely got the kind of the New York thing going on. She can pull that out when she needs it, and. Obviously, it's a tie-in. It's supposed to be a musical. It's a tie-in with her music. Yeah. I guarantee you didn't hear that here first, but I guarantee you they're probably going to do another version of Poker Face, but with Joker Face. Words, my Joker Face. They're going to update some of old songs. I know it. They've already pretty much mentioned as much in articles. they're going to do some new stuff, but they're gonna revamp some old stuff.
I'm there for that. I'm there for that. Yeah,
most certainly. To see Phoenix do the Joker again, definitely. I liked his Joker. It was interesting. It was different.
Yeah.
It was very different. I loved Heath Ledger's version of the Joker. I like Jack Nicholson's version of the Joker.
I pretty much liked all the versions. Yeah.
You know, Mark Hamill's version of the Joker. It's wonderful.
Even going back, Cesar Romero with the painted mustache, still a great Joker.
It was phenomenal.
Yeah. I got to mention 2 other movies where he plays the same character.
Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Well, that's actually on my list as well. But and again, he's the best part of that movie. He's the best part of that movie. No, I was talking where he plays a character named Alex Cross, who's again another police detective in Kiss the Girls and Along Came a Spider. Very good. Another. Not up there with 7, I don't think, but still very good psychological thrillers. And again, another great performance from Morgan Freeman.
Yes.
So you mentioned Deep Impact.
Who was in the film with Angelina? Was it The Bone Collector? Angelina Jolie.
The Bone Collector, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, Angelina Jolie. Who was in that with her? Oh no, it was Denzel. Denzel Washington.
That was Denzel Washington. Yeah.
Right. He was paralyzed in that. Denzel.
Yeah.
Okay. So that doesn't deserve a nod.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that wouldn't. Yeah.
Different guy, different character.
Different guy. Yeah, we already covered Denzel.
Yeah. We did, and that didn't make our lists.
It did not make our list. No.
Too many other good movies.
Not one of their better movies of either of them. Yeah. Oh, speaking of Angelina Jolie, I did include Wanted on my list. Again, another small part from Morgan Freeman, and yes, this is basically her movie, but he plays the leader of this secret organization, who turns out to be the bad guy in the movie, and which is a nice little twist, which I just gave away. But it's not that big a twist if you watch the movie, but it's an enjoyable little action movie. And again, Morgan Freeman bringing the goods, even in that. So just wanted to throw that one out too.
Fair enough.
All right.
We're doing Matthew McConaughey next week. What are we doing next week?
I have no idea. I have no
idea.
Let me.
I don't have my list in front of me.
Let me look at my list.
While you're doing that, tomorrow night on It's Casual, 7:00 Eastern Time, comedian Frankie Paul. Morel. It will be on the show. And on Thursday, we will do Horror of Dracula, Christopher Lee's first film as Count Dracula, with Peter Cushing, of course, doing his first take as Van Helsing. And we will have Miss Dr. Barbie Van Helsing with us on that show. So it's going to be an interesting show.
Awesome.
And of course, since we lost Donald Sutherland, next week, the next week after, next Thursday, on the Big Monster Briefing Room, they'll be doing The Body Snatchers, The Invasion of the Body Snatchers, 1978.
The Body Snatchers.
With him, Brooke Adams, Angela Cartwright, Jeff Goldblum. Yes, I saw his nosebleed. I did. So it should be, and Leonard Nimoy, trying to help him get out of that. Out of that Spock typecasting.
Yeah.
Not.
And I don't know if this is probably not a spoiler, but a special cameo from Kevin McCarthy, who was in the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers. We got to mention him.
Even better than that, there's a character in the film played by the director of the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Did you know that?
Oh, I did not know that. Well, there you go.
The cab driver.
We probably should have saved it You probably should have saved that for
the
the
cab
show.
driver that turns him into the aliens is actually Don Siegel, the guy that directed the original
Don Siegel.
movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So
Cool.
everybody's in it. The cinematographer's in it. The director's in it. I've did a lot of reading up on it, and
wow.
yeah, looking forward to that show as well.
Yeah. Well, that's a good little tidbit that the general can throw out there.
And again, people that watch this show don't watch that show, right? And
no, it's entirely different audience.
Okay, so I spoiled the surprise. Sorry, I thought you knew that though. So anyway,
I did not know that. I did not know. I just remember Kevin McCarthy was in it.
Kevin McCarthy. The funny thing is, the director of the film did that because he had this great idea, this wonderful idea. He said it's a different guy, but it kind of gives you in your mind. You're thinking, oh, this guy's been running around for 50 years telling people, you know, these aliens are out there. They're gonna take you.
Yeah. And I thought that was a nice little tie-in to the original.
It was a fun cameo. It really was.
Fun little cameo, yeah. Because I remember seeing the movie and I'm like, is that the
McCarthy?
Same? It is. It's that guy, yeah.
Yeah, McCarthy is one of the, especially Joe Dante. Joe Dante used McCarthy a lot in his movies, as well as Dick Miller, who was in a lot of the early 50s and 60s movies. Yeah, especially 60s with Roger Corman. You know, so he gave credit where credit was due, and he gave those old guys chances to get up there and chew the scenery again, and I love that. So you got to love that.
Yeah. You mentioned Electric Company earlier. Yeah. I gotta mention Morgan Freeman was in an episode of the 80s revival of The Twilight Zone with Morgan, along with Garrett Morris, Dan Hedaya, and Garrett Walsh.
Oh man!
And it's a great episode. I think it's on YouTube somewhere. The whole series, the 80s Twilight Zone revival.
The 80s Twilight Zone.
But they're all in this poker game. There's another actor whose name I forget. He's more of a comedic actor as well. But they're all playing this poker game, and Dan Hedaya is this kind of mystery. He's a substitute player for one of their friends, and weird things start happening, of course, because of the Twilight Zone. But it's a great episode, and of course,
Freeman. Picture yourself playing a card game with people you don't know.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So I just had a shout out to that one.
All right, I would definitely look that up. That sounds good. Is it as good as Chop Poker though on the Tales from the Crypt? Kevin Ty and Lance
probably not.
That's got to be the best, craziest episode ever.
Yeah.
Any of those kind of shows, the Tales from the Crypt, Chop Poker. Look it up. And Lance Henriksen is wonderful in those things, but Kevin Ty, you just don't expect at all. He's from Emergency, for crying out loud, the TV show.
Right.
And he's so off the chain, weird and wonderful in that. So anyway, I digress.
Yeah.
That just
and Quentin Tarantino remade that in 4 Rooms.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And I don't remember if he played the Lance Henriksen part or somebody else. But yeah.
I remember the music in that episode was really good too. It was by like Ry Cooder or somebody really famous. They got to do the music for it, and it was just like kick ass. That whole episode was just from beginning to end was just kick ass, weird and wonderful. Anyway.
Yeah. All right. So next week, we're going to be talking about an actress, and we're going to be talking about former model Cameron Diaz and a lot of her movies. I think we've already mentioned at least a couple of them already. But
all right,
he's made some interesting movies, so yeah, kind of want to shake it up a little. So
sounds good.
All right. Well, Miss Renee, any closing thoughts? Anything you want to pitch?
I want to give a shout out to our new audience live on X. We have 28 people in here right now watching on X. We love you on X. Please go to our other social media channels. Cosmos Creative Television is where you will find us. We are so grateful for the huge inaugural crowd. This is the first time we're going live here, and it's huge and it's amazing. And so if you guys like what you're seeing, come back and check everything out, right?
Go back and watch the Gladys cameo. That was wonderful.
So
yeah, that was
Gladys from Ellen. You should call
we did have a celebrity call in to
we
this
had a
show.
celebrity call in. Yeah.
Yes, if you're a fan of Ellen,
feeling good things about X now and our new relationship with X, formerly known as Twitter.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out what to actually call it. Not really sure, but do go down to every other social media channel. Cosmos Creative TV, Cosmos Creative
Twitch,
TV.
YouTube, TikTok. You'll find us there.
Instagram, Facebook, which kind of sucks, but
Instagram,
YouTube.
Not the other guy.
We're everywhere, like a virus.
We're everywhere. We're absolutely everywhere.
This is for Mark Zuckerberg.
Daily content. Tune back in again tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern time for It's Casual, starring Rory Penland. Down below, Rory, do you want to give another synopsis of what they can expect tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern?
Comedian Frankie Paul Morel is going to be on the show. Known the guy for many, many years, been doing comedy for a long, long time. Worked with a lot of great people. And I'm looking forward to hearing his stories about being a comic on the road.
It's going to be really fun.
Thursday in the Big Monster Briefing Room with General Howitzer, Master Sergeant Havoc, and Major Millie Hazard. And also we're going to have Dr. Barbie Van Helsing as our guest. We're going to be talking about Horror of Dracula, the first Hammer film, Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing Dracula movie. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We got a beautiful, gorgeous timeline for that.
That's gonna be amazing. That's gonna be really, really good. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, so
check out our content on all those other places. And again, it's going to be building here. We're going to be creating content here now.
Absolutely. You're going to see a lot of us guys at least once a day, probably. And John Carpenter just put out on his X, and so I retweeted that he's getting his Hollywood Walk of Fame star. He just found out. So congratulations.
Robert Englund is supposed to get one in the very near future, too. He's happy about that. He's only 15, 20 years.
It's always on a delay. But I wanted to tell everyone, as I said on X, Big Monster Briefing Room has done more than one John Carpenter film. So,
wow, we just did The Thing. It was a great show.
Yep, The Thing, and there was a couple other ones though too that they did.
Oh yeah, we did John Carpenter's Christine.
Yep, Christine.
We did Halloween.
Yep.
We've done a lot of John Carpenter's films.
Right. Yeah. So if anyone wants to watch that, it's kind of like a Mystery Science Theater-esque show. It's kind of Mystery Science Theater.
Mystery Science Theater light. We're the Cliff Notes of horror and sci-fi movies. That's what I like to call this. Absolutely. We go from beginning to end, and we talk about what works in the films and what doesn't work, and the continuity gaffes and fun stuff like that. So yeah,
absolutely great.
So characters, General Howitzer and Havoc and Hazard.
Yeah, there's a lot of great content over there. So again, everybody just come hang out, Cosmos Creative TV, and we will see you guys tomorrow for sure. And lots of diverse content to check out. I'm really happy with this thing. Who knew? Who knew that X was
people? That's fantastic.
28 people in here live. Absolutely
awesome.
Who'da thunk it?
Who'da thunk it? Well, I'm so grateful. All right. Well, good night, everybody, and come back in at some point. Yes, I'm always looking. The reason I'm always like weird.
You sound like Jeff Goldblum there. Come back in. Point. Yes. There it is.
Oh my gosh. So I hear it now. Yeah. Rory Penland is an impressionist, by the way, guys. Everyone should be Googling him. Don't Google him too hard, though. He likes it. He doesn't like Googling too hard.
You can Google me as hard as you like. The harder, the better. I like it.
No. And on that note, head on over to JanelleBean.com for some great. Good night, everybody.
Thanks for watching this episode of Two Guys and Sometimes a Gal Talking About Movies. Be sure to like, subscribe, and click that notification bell to get future episodes.